Good morning, beautiful souls. Here I am. Welcome back. I will begin anew. Um, Welcome to this 13th day of Advent. And today I'm going to approach this a little bit differently. And I had mentioned a deck quite early on in this series that I couldn't remember the title and that I was inspired to purchase. And I was talking about making good decisions in purchasing tarot decks, among other things. And the deck is on the table here. If you know this deck, you will recognize it. If not, I'm going to show it to you shortly. It is one that I put away because I knew it was going to take an immense amount of time to dedicate to the deck. And at that point, I didn't have that time. And I still don't have that time, but there is an intrigue here that I'm going to keep it. And I know at some point I will take a closer look at this deck. And so I thought for my tarot tip today, I would take you through this process of what I do when I'm completely befuddled in looking at a deck. Okay, so this is the Mystical Dream Tarot. By Janet Piedelato. And sorry for that pronunciation. When I do receive a deck, one of the first things I do is cards. I look through the cards to see if I can work with them straight out of the box. And I have a brief look, nothing too extended. And sometimes I put away the ones that I don't understand, or maybe a favorite card. And as I'm going through, I observe different takes on the card. Now, I am aware this is a dream oriented deck, and I'm going to share with you a little bit from the guidebook in a moment. Let me move it down. There we go. That's better. Okay, welcome back, Arya. And so this process could take a couple minutes, could take half an hour. And at some point, and honestly, at this point here, I really, this morning I got a little further. I went all the way to the swords, and I am realizing that, wow, there is a lot that is going on here, and I need to learn more about the nature of the deck. And that, no, I will not be reading this straight out of the box. And I kind of knew that from the get-go, but I wanted to just kind of demonstrate this. Okay. So what do you do when you are completely confused? Well, one option would be to treat the deck as an oracle deck rather than a tarot deck. And what I mean by that is just to simply do one card draws and begin to get to know the deck in that way, reading from the guidebook. Now, I also perused this book this morning, and I was looking for a biography, which is something I always look for in a deck. And the biography in this book is embedded in the acknowledgements as well as embedded in an introduction. And so this tells me that, actually it's in the introduction that it talks about it. Decades of my studies on the amazing world of dream interpretation. Iggy, I believe her husband or her partner, opened the space and gave all the room necessary for my lifetime passion. He is the dream that contributes to the color of all my work, a gift for which I am very grateful. And in this section, there's a little bit more about her. And then I went to the section on getting to know the cards. And I thought this was amazing advice. As any relationship begins, a one-to-one meeting with each image is more powerful than working with a crowd of many. I suggest that upon the initial meeting, we spread out the entire deck to view all the cards like one would view a party of many people, allowing the eye to drift and scan over the entire deck. We get an overall view. Then, intuitively, we see where our focus wants to go. Which person in the room is most interesting at this time and this very moment? We pick up that interesting card and sit with it alone, like taking up a conversation with one person at a party, getting to know them better, without reading the meaning presented in the Mystical Dream Tarot book. Then just sit and listen. I want to go back here. So where she talks about as a child, she diligently recorded dreams in a small black and white marbled notebook. I never imagined the importance beyond the pleasure of the simple activity, never guessed where it would take me. Indeed, it is truly the magic carpet of my life. So what we are navigating through in each of these cards, I'm hearing, is that we are, and I'm not entirely sure, are we revisiting a dream that the creator once had? And what I would like to do for the inspiration this morning is fan through the deck and choose a card of inspiration. Okay. And then I will share. So, I always say come into this with a question. And so this is a question for the deck and our relationship with this deck, and how this deck is to whoa, that's really interesting. Okay, so I'm going to choose this card, and it's really something, because I believe it was the next card, the Nine of Swords, that was one of the cards that cemented this this deck for me when I was observing somebody discussing this deck in a tarot challenge. Okay, so let's go back to the tarot tip and the approach to the unknown. So as the deck creator mentions, look at the card and have a conversation with the card and observe what is meaningful to you You may or may not. I mean, if you are a tarot reader, you can't but help read the title on the bottom. And I also find it interesting that I made it through to the swords this morning, and then this sword card is drawing my attention here. So there may be very well something about the swords in this deck. But what is drawing my attention are the leaves, these gorgeous, the way the leaves are gently falling here. There's a real tenderness in this scene. And I don't know what the relationship is between these two women. One is holding a book, sitting within a... it looks to me like almost like the hollow of a tree. And one is resting over the top of it. And there is a garment or some energy that is connecting the two of them. It looks like the one that is inside the tree, her face is partly obscured by her own hair. And then it also looks as if they are upon water, that maybe this tree stump is floating and they are in transport. Like they're actually floating down a river on this log stump. Or are they at the side of the river? But that adds so much more to the story. So when I develop a relationship with a card, I'm looking at the landscape. And I'm looking at everything that's going on. I also notice the gentleness of the upper third of the card, the gentleness of the leaves, the brightness of the sun in the background. And as I mentioned in a previous day in a tarot tip, just to start talking and have a conversation. And you may find you are talking to a daughter, a sister. You might be looking at multiple aspects of yourself. And part of me wonders if the woman on top is listening to a wise one within, almost like the tree. The tree has a soul, the tree has an energy. And so welcome back. Nice to have you come back. Clevis and G. So no expectations. And I think that is part of the problem when we get to a deck that really is doing something different and isn't fitting into the structure of the tarot. Now, I ask this question of every deck, is this a tarot deck and can I work with it as a tarot deck? And at this point, I cannot answer that question because I don't know this deck. All I'm doing is opening a journey with a deck, selecting a card for something that attracts me. So obviously this card is something to share, and then beginning to describe it. Okay. So from the words of the Creator and from something that has caught your eye in this card, let that inner message or the words of the Creator inspire or clarify all that you are moving through on this day. From the bridge in the center of all directions, the seeker stretches her sight, going down to the roots of the tree beneath, which sits Lady Wisdom. The seeker moves the veiled drapery to view the hidden wisdom. In the lady's arms is the message in a closed book. The seeker needs to view the visions from the depths, from dreams working to decipher their hidden messages. The seeker urges us not to be fooled by a false sense of knowing. What we see initially may only be a hint of what remains hidden. It is necessary to discover the elusive and veiled, for it may completely shift our belief in what lies on the surface. The views we see from the bridge are incomplete. Lack of confidence in one's position often results from unknowing and misinterpretation. Here, Lady Wisdom sits in the depths with veils covering her face and the wisdom that lies at the base of all existence. The seeker, stretching consciousness in search of the hidden, still remains with feet bound to waking reality, a sign that the physical world holds the seeker back. Bound by the restraints of sensory vision, the seeker needs to work hard to see beyond the veils, to uncover the hidden beneath the falsehoods. The view of reality is masked. Dogma and worn-out beliefs often hold one rooted to damaging philosophies, which bind one to unknowing, discouraging the move from belief to true knowing. And in a way, one of my connections with this card are those moments, especially when I'm alone in the forest and all is well. I'm having a wonderful walk, and I can pause and place my hands, both hands, on trees or rocks, and allow that energy to fill my being and come into a place of trust where I may connect with the heart of the tree. I've talked about communication with trees before and shared some stories, but this is a place of if I let go of the need, if I let go of the need to be assured by the external, declaring my eyes as the true provider of information, rather than allowing that inner experience, the knowing of the inner experience, to lead, I'm not sure where I started with this long sentence, then I'm in trouble. So the advice here perhaps is for that beautiful woman on the tree to close her eyes and to feel and to really be in this experience, to allow her physical body to melt into these uncomfortable branches, which are described as a bridge. And so this question of how much do we trust all of that information that lies within? Or how much do we distrust all of that information that lies within and allow our external vision to rule? And what attracted me to this card was this beautiful landscape, the background, the leaves, the trees, the light in the distance. And the woman on top of the tree is not seeing that either. And if she were to close her eyes and be absorbed in all of it, she would know so much more. So whether you are drifting into your own dreamscape, or you have a moment today to pause in the busyness of life and allow the beauty of the sensations of your inner wisdom to feel your skin and your face, please take time to do that. Thank you. Clevis is referring to a card that I paused at. So this is take 2 of this video. And when I paused the first time, we were stopped at the 7 or the 6 of Swords. And I'm just going to show you the card. Because I'm going to hide take 1. There it is. This is the card that she's referring to. All right, so let's go on to favorite things. Many of you know of my love of crystals. I have been working with them for many years. And I have a I have a connection. I can excuse me. I can find this connection by closing my eyes. Quite quickly connect with the planet Earth, the energy of the earth. And there's something about crystals, whether they are crystalline or they are partly raw or polished. I love it when there's some rawness on rocks. I don't connecting me to its original color. And when I hold the crystal in my hand and close my eyes, one of my favorite things to do is allow myself to be transported into the center of the earth, to sometimes be taken to a geographic connection with the crystal, to receive a message from the crystal, an insight. And this particular quartz, described as smoky quartz, is one that came to me when I was doing shamanic practices and trainings. And this is the crystal of the shaman, or the shamans that in the tradition that I was working with. And so we were advised to have smoky quartz with us when we were doing our work. And in a way, it reminds me of the bear cloak and the sage or the Palo Santo smoke, and there's almost like a trippiness in the transition into the lower world or the upper world, and the work of healing, and the transition from the wide open experience. And maybe that is a connection to this card that I came to after all. And Arya, I'll answer your question in a second. Is that to find healing and to find peace and magic and mystery, we need to be able to tap into all of that energy. And this was a really potent time in my life, and so I share with you a couple pieces of smoky quartz that that came to me. All right, and I want to share with you a book as well. As you can imagine, I have many crystal books. I have all of the crystal Bibles and many more of the other books by that author, and some contemporary ones and resources that I've collected off the internet. And I found this little book one year on a bookshelf, and I love hardcover books. And I picked it up and really was attracted to its perspective on the topic, because it contained more of a scientific approach rather than the approach that I had learned through healing. And this is a chart on hardness. And I became fascinated in the chemistry and some of the other properties that I didn't even know about with crystals. And there is a lot to be learned also through the, this is a section on mining and some information about how the work that is required to mine crystals, which is important knowledge for those of us that pick them up without even thinking about that. And the process of cutting them. And so this really took me aback, because I think that falling in love and connecting to the energy of the earth and her gems is one thing, but to know something about the process is another. And while this is not a significant scientific resource, it certainly is a wonderful book to have in my library to refer to and learn more about. I mean, this little book, I sometimes I pick it up and I read a page or a section and I go, oh, so like all of the crystals are grouped by, there's a section on families. Like at the beginning, I want to go back to like beryl. Just stuff I didn't even know about. Okay, there it is. Okay. So I remember before I had read this book, let's see if I can zoom in, that I didn't understand the connection between the less refined forms of the gems and the polished fine cut crystals that appear in rings and things in a jewelry store. And so there are sections here that go through and help to really fill in those gaps in my education. And then way at the back of the book, probably more interesting to many of you, there is a section on healing, and there is a discussion of this important book by Mother Hildegard, Abbess Hildegard von Bingen, 1098 to 1179. Her book was called Physica, which found great acceptance. This gemstone medicinal science lithotherapy is experiencing a resurrection. Whole bookstore shelves are filled with discourses about Hildegard medicine. And from what I understand, Mother Hildegard was one who bridged the connection between the pagan earth-centric healing and brought this gemstone healing to the Christian population. And so I don't have any books on Mother Hildegard or her work. But for me, this is really important information. And so I love it when I find little treasures like this. Amelia shares about her first geology book. Yeah, the geology is fascinating. And fortunately as well, there are a couple of crystal websites that include the geology as well as the metaphysics. I was just looking for the card that Aria had asked. That now I don't know what I did with that card. So I believe, yes, in the chess card. I don't know. I would need to get my magnifying glass. So yeah, so just a few little things to share today. And let's do the draw, shall we? And just a reminder that today is the second weekly draw. And it is my intention to do a draw next Friday as well as the 24th of December. And if you have not commented on the first, where are we at now? The first 12 days already, I will go back and you can have 12 more draws for next week's draw. And the only piece of paper that's not in here is Esther's winnings from last Friday. All right, so the winner, I'll draw the name and then I will show you your choice of prizes. Okay. The winner is Rema. Where is my camera? Rema. All right. Congratulations, Rema. Okay. And depending where you are in the big wide world, I will post one of these decks to you in the new year once the Canada Post strike is settled. And I have said the same thing to last week's winner. I just need to calculate the cost and weight of shipping. And so one of your choices is the Alchemistical Tarot, the Goddess Love Oracle, Whispers of the Ocean Oracle, Earth Power Oracle, and this is a second copy, so this one I haven't used at all. It has been opened though. All of these are gently loved decks. Or Sacred Earth Oracle. And of course, all the information is down below in the description box. And you also have the choice of a 15-minute session with me as well too. So please reach out to me through my website, and we can make a plan. Looking for my website. Here's my website. And so you can email me through the website. There's a message through the website, or directly email info@integrativehealingwithsadhana.com. Okay, so congratulations, Rema. And I will see you all very soon. It would be an amazing to have something like this, in my library for plants as well. Thank you for sharing that, Amelia. All right, I want to wish you all a wonderful rest of your day. And if there's anything I can help you with, please reach out, and I will see you soon. Take good care. Namaste.